This video is to help with number 8 from the Chapter 2 Closure. If you're hung up on this problem, go ahead and listen along and we will figure it out. Number 8, it states that Sam and Luke are competing in a bike race. Sam does not get a head start and rode at a pace of 6 meters every 2 seconds. Luke got a 4-meter head start and after 3 seconds is at 8 meters. Letter A says, draw and label these two equations on the graph. Okay, so you can actually start and graph these on there just based on the information that was given, or if you want to make the equation first, you can. We'll look at kind of both here. So I'm going to start out, let's look at Sam. The information they tell us about Sam is that Sam does not get a head start. So we know then he is starting at the starting line. So when we think about that, that would be like where B is 0, right? That's going to be down here. And then it says that he rode at a pace, right? At a pace of 6 meters every 2 seconds. So when we think about his pace, right? His slope is going to be like his change in y over change in x. And we said that's going to be 6 meters every 2 seconds, which would reduce down to 3 over 1. If we were going to write an equation for Sam, it would be y equals, right, the slope, which is 3, times x, which is the number of seconds, and then you could say plus 0 if you want to, right? That's his starting value. Okay, but as we know the starting value and we know that the slope is either 6 over 2 or 3 over 1, we can go ahead and we can count up, right? If we went up 3 over 1, right, there would be a point. If we went up 3 and over 1, up 3 and over 1, and we have a line that looks like this. Okay, so that we could say is Sam. Let's look now at Luke. It says that Luke got a 4-meter head start. Okay, so when we think about that, Luke got a 4-meter head start, and since meters are on our y-axis, right, we'll go ahead here and let's make Luke blue, right? So since he's got a 4-meter head start, we're going to give him 4 meters after 0 seconds, right? So that means that his starting value or his B value is 4. And when we go and look at his other information, they said after 3 seconds, he's at 8 meters. So you need to look at 3 seconds, right? We need to be at 8 meters. Okay, so that's where that point should go. It should go at that point 3.8. They're not telling you that's his pace. They're just telling you that after 3 seconds, he's gone 8 meters. So if we look at drawing out like his slope triangle, right? Actually, we can go ahead and connect these first, right? Let's connect it. But it looks like we are going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to go to the right 1, 2, 3. So his slope is going to equal, remember, which is change in y over change in x. He's going to go up 4 units over 3, or up 4 meters for every 3 seconds. So we can write out Luke's equation now that we know that what m and b are. We'd say y is going to equal, the slope is 4 over 3 times x, and he has that 4-meter head start. So remember the blue one here is Luke. Letter B asks us to write the unit rate for each rider, and even gives us a little reminder to include the units. Okay, so if we look at the originals, right, if we had 6 meters for every 2 seconds, remember you can do 6 divided by 2, and if you need to use a calculator, if the numbers are more complicated, you could, but we know 6 divided by 2 is 3, so that's going to be 3 meters for every 1 second. Okay, so that would end up being Sam. Sam is going to be traveling 3 meters per second, or if you want, you can put per 1 second. And then when we look at that was Sam. Let's look at Luke now. Sorry, I might have said Luke by mistake there, but we're looking at Luke now. Luke had a change in y or a change in x of 4 over 3. So when we look at that one, right, 4 divided by 3, well, when we do that, that doesn't do a nice clean number when you do 4 divided by 3. We get 1 1/3, or if you wanted to change it to a decimal, you could say that's 1.333333. You may need a calculator to do that, but that would be 1.3 meters per second. So we have 1.3 meters per 1 second. Or if you wrote 4/3 meters per second, that would also be correct. Okay, so who's riding faster? As we look at that, who is riding faster? Well, Sam's rate is higher, right? 3 meters per second versus 1 1/3 meters per second, right? So we'd have to say Sam is riding faster. If we wanted to justify it, we could say his rate of change is higher, or his speed is higher. Okay, and that's because the slope is greater, right? So we could say his slope is greater, which means he's traveling faster. Okay, then in letter D it asks, if the race is 30 meters long, who won? Prove your answer with the equations. Show your work. I think if you look at the graph on this one, you can kind of tell this answer, right? As we're going up, we were trying to figure out, at 30 meters, which we can't see, but it looks like, since Sam is traveling faster, he's going to reach 30 in less time than what Luke will. But if we're going to do it algebraically, we can figure this out. We're going to take their two equations, right? So we said that Sam was y equals 3x plus 0. We said that Luke was y is equal to 4/3 x plus 4. Okay, and if we're trying to figure out how fast could they get to 30 meters, remember we're looking at meters is our y-axis, right? So meters is equal to y, or a number of meters. So if we're going to put in 30 meters, okay, we're going to put that in for our y to figure out how many seconds it took them to get to it. So let's do that. Let's plug in 30 for y. So we have 30 is equal to 3 times x, and then plus 0 we don't need to write on there. But when we divide each side by 3, we'll get 10 is equal to x. That means that it took Sam 10 seconds. Let's look at Luke now. For Luke, let's put in 30 as the distance. We have 30 is equal to 4/3 x plus 4. We'll have to subtract 4 from each side. So we have 26 equals 4/3 x. And remember, 4/3 x is the same thing as saying 4x over 3. You could do this in 2 steps if you want to, if you're not good with fractions. First thing we would do is get rid of the dividing by 3. So we're going to multiply each side by 3. We'll end up with 4x is equal to 26 times 3 should be 78. And then to get x by itself, we'll divide each side by 4. And now we'll get x is going to equal, How many times does 4 go into 78? Well, it should be about 19.5. So it's going to take Luke 19.5 seconds to finish the race. So obviously there we just justified that Sam is faster because it only took him 10 seconds. All right, so that is the end of question number 8. If you have additional questions, please make sure that you ask in class.